podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Some friendships don't need constant contact, just quiet respect. My guest today is one of those stories. We went to the same school, started training around the same time, and walked different paths that somehow led us to the same destination: discipline, growth, and curiosity. From the corridors of year 7 to 8 years of flying across the world to pioneering biohacking in the UAE, today we sit down not just as old friends, but as two students of the same lesson: the body follows the mind. Finally, you made it.
We're here.
Good to have you here. Thank you so much, CJ. There's so many things that I would love to talk about, and I'll try to keep it as structured as I can. I'm sure that because of the history we've shared and so much information to talk about, I'll try to keep it as simple and as basic as possible. Cool. Once again, thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
I would love to start with how we connected. It was school. I think if my memory goes correct, I think grade 7 or 8.
Yeah, around that time. I think grade 8.
Grade 8. That's the time you joined TWS. All right. I was already there for the past 2 years. Then how did, I think we weren't even in the same class, different classrooms. If you open the gates to school now, we graduated 2007, 6? 7. And now we're in 2025.
Oh, you make
If
me.
you went back
now
to
it
school,
seems like such a long time ago.
so if you went back to school right now, what version, or how do you think that where we are today, or you are rather, where you are today, was there any hint at that age that, CJ would, so Chiranjeev Malhotra back then would grow into being CJ, what he is now?
If I talk about grade 8, honestly, zero chances. Everyone is a bit confused and lost when they're young, right? Nowadays, the kids are different because they have AI, they have YouTube, they have all this information. So they have much more information than what we had. I think growing up, I was completely lost. I know that around grade 9, grade 10, which is like 2 years later, I developed this interest of fitness and developed this interest around health. It was more to do with aesthetics and looking good, because I don't know if you remember, but I was like chubby as a kid.
I think both of us were.
Yeah, so I was chubby as a kid, and that was haunting me all the time, and I wanted to kind of get back in shape. But that was it. Honestly, that was it. I didn't imagine myself to go so much deep into the health sphere like I am right now. So if you ask me to imagine back, I don't think there were any traits at all that gets me to the point that I'm here today.
I see you're wearing a lovely shirt with biohacking on it. We'll come to that later. But what shaped that confidence to sort of start off fitness? You said it haunted you. In the sense, did you face, I think that's what we as kids go through all the time. I was a chubby kid as well. So people call you names, people pick on you, tease you, blah, blah. However, they feel that it's just a joke. But sometimes those things stick, and then it sort of triggers a want to improve. Was it something similar, or
Yes,
you
it
were
is.
just influenced by maybe around you, friends, family into fitness?
There were two things. So one of the things is like when I met you guys in like the Westminster School, TWS that he said. Before that, I was in another school, and in that school, I faced a lot of bullying because my weight was a lot more than when I came to TWS.
But you're a tall guy, so I think your weight even then felt pretty okay. Yes, on the chubbier side,
Yeah.
but you never looked.
Yeah, not extreme, but
Yeah.
I guess like a few years ago, it was a bit too extreme, and then I lost a little bit of weight.
Fair.
But my introduction to fitness was mostly with martial arts. And I remember there was this, I was bullied in school, and I was tired of getting bullied. And I was walking one day on the streets of Dubai, where I used to live, and I look up and I see this big title on the window, Golden Fist Karate Center. I'm like, interesting. So this curiosity led me to go upstairs, and I look at like this karate and kung fu center. And that day I was like, I know people who can fight, or like I know in that around that time I thought I have seen Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee and they don't get bullied. So like maybe this is where I need to be. So my actual path to fitness, which a lot of people don't know, started from martial arts.
Nice.
So I started going to martial arts, and then I did kung fu for many years, and I lost a little bit of weight because of that.
Right.
And then eventually I started going to the gym, and the gym happened because of some of my friends in my area, which were like much older to me. But now they had all these muscles, and I was like, oh, I want to get these muscles also. So
Nice.
those were, I think, some of those early guys were a little bit of inspiration, and I was very close to a gym. So every evening I would see these guys with big shoulders, big biceps, big chest, having shawarmas, just walking around, and I'm like, where are you guys coming from? I remember, I was like, where are you guys coming from? They're like, oh, we work out in that gym. I was like, okay, perfect. So
Interesting.
then I went to the gym. Same thing. I saw something. I went to the gym. I'm like, maybe this is what I should be doing. And then I started working out.
It's very interesting. When you started training at an early age in school, because I still remember, I think around grade 10, 11, your physique grew. We were more into, I think, I was still playing hockey, cricket, football.
You used to do so many sports. Like you were doing 3 sports a day, or
We weren't good at studies, so I had to do something else. So sports was
Yeah.
our way of
Yeah.
being consistent, I guess. So yeah, your physique, mashallah, it started changing. I still remember. I think we were around 15, 16 at that time. So we were doing athletics. You weren't into athletics. I think you did shot put or something, but I think very
Yes.
bare minimum.
Bare minimum.
Yeah, and but you had that physique already going.
I didn't like the idea of waking up early for sports day when you could skip the day.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. So, your physique started changing. And I would sit and think that, I always wanted to do bodybuilding. You started bodybuilding slightly earlier. I was into fitness at then, different, just athletics, and because we weren't allowed to have big shoulders, blah, blah. In cricket and stuff, they say that you can have, if you're not flexible, it can cause issues, etc. But you clearly, you weren't into sports. But did the bigger physique affect you in the kung fu side?
No, it didn't,
things?
because at that time I stopped doing kung fu. So I stopped doing kung fu, and then I went towards working out. First thing I did was to lose weight, and then after losing weight, after I think I started working out when I was 14 years old, and then around 16ish, that's the time I started to like build muscle and put on weight.
But then with muscle comes a lot of discipline, right? And you've been clearly, even when at that young age, when you started packing on muscle, it's because you were consistent.
It was
So you had some trait of
yeah.
consistency,
I had
driven.
a focus. So
There you
I would. One of the things that I still have with me right now is that if I really want to go after something, then that's it. Like this, I've done some personality quizzes, and they say like one of the things that you can be is Navy SEAL or Black Ops, because the way my brain works is that I don't compartmentalize emotions. So if I've been given a task, or if I really want to do something, my brain like
Wires
narrows
itself,
down and
yeah.
completely focuses on that, and then I don't care what's happening around me. Like I'm able to like blur out the rest of the world and just look at one target, one thing, and just move towards it, even if other parts of my life are getting affected. I mean, it's not a good or a bad thing.
Everything comes at a cost.
Exactly.
It's the
So,
balance, I suppose.
so again, like the word you mentioned, discipline, I was very disciplined. Like I knew everyone who was eating junk. I was like, no, I'm going to have like grilled stuff. I'm going to have salads. I'm not going to have fat. I'm not going to have this or that. So I guess like I was trying my best with all the limited knowledge I knew, but like I would never say that I did not try.
We will come to the grilled stuff which you said, because I remember that you going through phases of different diets which you followed. We need to touch that. When I remember for a while you were vegan. I think you focused a lot on vegetarian for a while as well, and then you sort of came back.
I've tried everything.
So we'll definitely touch that as well. If now I think we're in the 30s. 3 words to describe your younger self. And out of those 3 words, what do you think still partially describes you?
Okay, so one thing was, we'll say discipline / focus. That's there, and it's still there. I would say sensitive, and I'm still sensitive. but the spectrum of sensitivity is changed a little bit. So now I'm a little bit higher. And one of the things that I've had a lot in the past was ego. And I think now, slowly, with a lot of work, that has started to come down.
Fair. Interesting. I would describe myself as brash, irresponsible when I was young, and borderline rude. However, I think those three things changed, but the brash part is still there, but it's more controlled. I think it's controlled chaos. Yeah, I think it's good to be chaotic to a certain degree, but if you can channel that energy into productivity. But if you can't channel that energy, I think then it's like shooting yourself in the leg.
It's like you're running around with a loaded gun, and other people can call the shots if you don't call the shots.
It is. I think at a younger age, obviously, it was very different personality. But then we start to fine tune ourselves. So, but very interesting. Something you said right now. I think not many people can even own up to something that big. When you say that, ego, it's something very deep. If you say that, yes, ego, they take it very personally. But you're sitting here and you're saying, yes, I recognize that, yes, I had an ego issue, but as we grow, we understand where it's needed, where it's not needed. So fair enough. A belief about you that you thought back in school that, yes, this is how it is, but then it turned out to be completely wrong.
I think I thought that growing up, I would be like a party animal, big socialite, being always outside.
You are social.
Not as much as people think. Not as much as people think. But I thought like I would go towards the more pleasureful side of life, which I did actually. I did for a very long time. And then I think now that whole script has changed, where I don't think that's the ultimate thing of life.
It's just gone lower in the priority list.
Yes.
But it's still there. It's still part of the picture.
Yeah, it's still there. I enjoy now being alone at certain times, right? I like to do things which are more like more introspection, more like spending time with myself. I've started to enjoy that. And when I was younger, I thought that I wouldn't, like, I'm the kind of person who needs people around to be entertained, to be motivated, to like put on a show for other people.
Fair.
But now I'm just trying to put on a show for my own self.
Nice. Fair enough. There was a turning point when you graduated out of school. When did you start working? Did you start flying directly out of school?
No.
Or how was it?
So basically, when we were in school, I think 2007, I joined American College of Dubai after that time. And around that time,
I totally forgot.
Around that time, I was very, very, very lucky to be introduced to the world of events.
Right.
And I started working very, very early. So I would go to college and I would also do events at the same time. So I think that's, again, like that discipline thing helped, because I was like, okay, I'm not going to party. I'm just going to I was partying as well, but like most of the times I would do these events, these seasonal events that we have in Dubai, Abu Dhabi. Yeah. So I started working very early, I would say. Very, very early.
When you were working, the fitness, because I still remember, because now you mentioned ACD. In ACD, I still remember that, mashallah, you had a great physique. You had a lot more muscle and it was now more defined. That's not coming without discipline or hard work either. Maintaining that. Events is very difficult because it doesn't have a timeline. You're working long hours. Diet plays a big role. Where in that did you realize? Did you already start realizing? Because now you're much more leaner than what you used to be, right? Did you somewhere in that journey start realizing that, okay, I think maintaining a bigger physique is a bit challenging?
No.
Was it too difficult to continue eating so much food because the protein intake is so high?
No, not really, because around that time, I would still be, like you said, like disciplined. So I would wake up around 4 or 5 or 6 and make sure that I go to the gym, or after my events, make sure I hit the gym at least 4 to 5 times a week. I would make sure that I prioritize protein. So everywhere I would go, I would not eat. Sometimes there are free food that's given to you in an
Right.
event, right?
Yeah.
You're a part of the staff, you're 15, 16 years old, people give you some French fries, and I was like, no, I'm not going to eat that. But I would take like my packed nuts, for example.
Nice.
I would have a lot of almonds, at that time we couldn't afford a lot. So
Yeah.
we couldn't afford to go to a restaurant, but whatever was available, like my friends used to call me the chicken guy because I would stop at any cafeteria and like the only thing that I would order
It's chicken.
was chicken. The rotary chicken.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
people would just call me chicken man is here, and people used to ask me like, how many chickens have you had in your entire life? I was like, guys, listen, if it's for protein, I'm just gonna have it. Of course that's not very healthy, but
A mistake.
Hmm.
Because obviously I didn't study fitness until later. I think same goes for you. It was much later that when you dived into the science of fitness, because you're already doing it for a very long time. What was that one mistake that you feel that because of the misinformation or the lack of information rather, so I was doing this but I should have done this a bit earlier in fitness?
Yeah, I think moderation. And I was just like, I had a podcast this morning and I was also talking about the same thing. I was always in the extreme end of things. So if it was fitness, it was nothing else but fitness. If it was eating, one influencer or one person says like protein is everything, so I would just make sure all day long I would just eat from tuna cans. Like that was me. I was pushing my body way to the extreme. But then just with the teachings of life and just observing everything and observing the nature always punishes the extreme, and you always have to be like, you need to have moderation in everything. Not too much of something is good and not too less of something is good. But what we tend to think is that because
More is
something
better.
Exactly. If something in a way is good, then more of it will be better.
Sometimes they say that, right? Less is more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
And it's only later on we realize
yeah,
this.
you just have to be in the balance. Like, Buddha said, just take the middle path.
Fair enough. Fair enough. How did that discipline shape later things in your life? Being cabin crew, you flew for 8 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh my God, I flew for 8
You
years.
flew for 8 years with 2 different lovely airlines. So how did that discipline, and then now you're on the ground, and I think not entirely you weren't on the ground for a while.
Yeah, so I flew with Qatar Airways for 4 years, and then
Right.
I took a break, 3 years, I think 2016 to 2019, and then the aviation bug in me, the lover of flying, going to different places, it got to me again, and then I flew with Emirates for 4 years, and now since 2000, so it's been 3 years now that I've been not flying.
Fair enough. That discipline whilst you were flying, different time zones, you have no control over your timetable. How do you bring in that control that, okay, you know that this is when I'm flying, this is when I need to be up, this is the time zone I might be flying forward or backward, body clock is messed up, circadian rhythms are all over the place. How are you managing with that?
Through sheer will. Okay, so basically, it is very challenging.
Yes.
When I first joined Qatar Airways, I was 21 years old, so my body was very supportive of me. When I joined Emirates at 30, so it was a completely different picture.
Oh, wow.
And when you're in your early 20s, you can get away with so many things. You can get away with so many things. But not to say that, I had a good physique and I was just not doing anything. I made sure that if I had a flight at like whatever 6 a.m. is a wake up call, will I be able to go to the gym after I land, or can I just go for like a short workout before? And that was always a thing, whether it be events or whether it be some other situation in life. You just need to make sure it's about like allocating priorities, right?
Yes.
So you're like, okay, perfect. I need to do my workout not because it turns like I get a good physique out of it, is because it gives me the energy to go on throughout the day. I love
Very
it.
nice.
And more of it is love. So for me, working out is enjoyment. Sometimes it's not even like lifting up dumbbells. Sometimes just going for a run. Sometimes doing some, nowadays I enjoy yoga and jiu-jitsu and all these things, but no one has to force me, or I don't do it for an outcome. I do it because this is the thing that I enjoy the most. And then once you're on the flight, you also look at like, you have multiple food options, but then for the longest period of time, I would even wake up earlier to make sure, again, that I had these chicken breasts and I cut them down and I cut this broccoli and I had these big bodybuilder kind of like backpack, and everyone on the flight used to be like, you're crazy. And it had these 6 meals
Okay,
inside.
very nice.
And yeah, with protein shakes and all. So it is manageable. It's a lot of work.
Yes.
But that's the thing. Like, nothing in life comes easy, especially for
Absolutely.
people who are genetically not as blessed as us. We already had a childhood which was chubby. We come from India. There's genetic and heritage lines which also suggest that we can store more body fat than the rest of the populations. So we can't just get away with things. Some
Those
people
are
can.
very interesting topics that I would love to sit and talk about
Yeah.
with in future episodes, because there's such misconceptions
Yeah.
around physique, fitness, and genetics, which people don't really understand.
Mm-hmm.
While you were flying, did a thought or something come across that, okay, clarity started coming in, that be like, okay, you know what, this is what I want to do. So 4 years flew, took rest, and then flew again, and then now you're finally on the ground. So somewhere in that 8 years of flying, you met tons of different people, tons exposure to tons of different situations, a lot of exposure to different personalities, because you're in a very face-to-face facing role with different people, frustrated, happy, flying, sad, everything. Did all of that come together and start giving you clarity that, okay, fine, you know what, this is where I want to be headed?
So when I first joined Qatar, it was more of like I wanted to take a year off. I was thinking I'll take a year off, and then eventually I wanted to start up my own gym. So the idea was to save some money and start my own gym, but then I got lost in the glamour and the fun and the excitement and the travels and the discounts and all these exciting things. So that never happened. When I came back to Dubai, I started getting back to reality, but I was still in this whole bubble. So if you're a pilot, if you're a cabin crew, you're in this bubble which is like not real, and real life is completely different because you are privileged enough to have certain days off, cheap flights, discounts. So which is not reality. It's like a made up thing in the aviation industry, which everyone goes through. That's why it's so hard for people to leave aviation.
Right.
Especially when you're
Because they
crew.
get used to it.
They get used to the luxury.
Fair.
5-star hotels every second day, 50% discount on food in 5-star hotels, excitement, dopamine all the time. Sometimes you're riding an elephant, sometimes you're jumping from the sky, sometimes there are so many things in different parts of the world. And again, like with your job or with my job, there is a huge element of responsibility, not just for like 1 or 2 days, but for probably the entire year. When you're a cabin crew or you're a pilot, all you need to focus on is how to get this flight done. And once that flight is done, it's done. You don't sleep in the night thinking about the flight. You don't wake up thinking about another flight. You're just like one flight done. You never see anyone again. So that's very chilled mindset. It's a bubble. So when I came back to Dubai, I was like, man, like getting back to this normal world is so hard. So I struggled for a few years and I was like, okay, now I have to go back. But while I was going back, I was already so keen to get into some sort of like a wellness, and I wanted to start my own podcast. And I was like, I need all this time for this. And if I just do like events and if I do a normal job, I will never have that time. So then I was like, okay, I enjoy flying. Why don't I fly? And in my days off, I'll work towards my company. So that's why it took me 4 years of research. It took me 4 years of like planning, because right now there's AI and there's all those things. But back in the day, we were just coding the website ourselves. Like it was crazy times.
This shift from flying to seriously going into wellness and the focus on biohacking and your brand biohacking and also your own podcast Shift with CJ. It's been around for I think already
3 years at least.
3 years. I was thinking 4. Wow.
3 to
it's
4
been,
years, yeah.
It's been there for a while. So what was that drive? That did you feel that there's a gap in the fitness industry? There's a lot of misinformation out there, and you felt like, okay, you know what, I because it's a passion as is, I would love to sort of start spreading the little information which I have, or rather rectifying the misinformation out there.
It didn't start like that. It more started with an itch of like, oh, I got to know something so exciting, and now I can tell like my parents and my sister and like 2 friends, but they're not interested. So who else can I tell this to? And then I would go to random like meetups, and I would just say, hey, by the way, did you know if you just cool your rice and then this resistant starch would... They're like, what? So I was always like desperate to talk to someone. And then I realized that if I could go and fly into international events and I would meet like-minded people and then I could talk to them, it made me feel great. The podcast came because I was obviously listening to so many podcasts, and I was like, I never wanted to correct anything, and I didn't think there was any. I mean, there's always misinformation, but I was not looking at the channels to consume misinformation. I was always consuming good information, and I thought that, you know what, if I want to talk to like some of the smartest people on the planet, if I just call them or if I just message them, chances are they're not going to entertain me. But what if I could get them on an interview and then just provide value? Like I would just talk to them and it would make me feel nice. So it all started with the desperate need of talking to someone about an area of interest, but I had no one around me. So I had to do it digitally. So the podcast started, it became digitally. Then I was importing all of these things from different parts of the world, and I was experimenting and I was doing all of these different biohacks. And I was like, would be so cool if I could just, modify this, but like the manufacturer wouldn't let me do it, or the company wouldn't let me do it. And I was like, they didn't even see that there are so many new studies and this product is so old. So it was a little bit of frustration. And then someone gave me this idea. They're like, why don't you do it yourself?
Yeah.
And that's how the whole research part came in. And I was like, there is a gap because there's no biohacking here. There is none of these products. Even if I want something, I have to send it to another address in the US, and then from there it gets shipped and it's so expensive. But what if, like, it started with blue light blocking glasses. I remember I was like, everyone's out at night, everyone's just having the circadian rhythm misalignment. What if I could start with a very small solution?
You're wearing one of those right now.
Yeah.
Tell me how these lovely pair of glasses work, how it affects cortisol levels, how it helps in the circadian rhythm, and how effective do you feel that since prior using it and after using it? So because I've felt it myself. I own a lovely pair thanks to you. And these, I think you wear during the day, and then you wear the red ones at night. You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so for your listeners, a very easy way to think about this is like light was only discovered like probably 100, 150 years ago. And before that, we had incandescent light, which has more of the natural spectrums of sunlight. So in the day you have the sunlight, in the night you have moonlight. Moonlight is not as powerful, and the light from the stars. So as a species, we have evolved looking at the sun. The sun gives us certain amount of light, and it changes every hour. Okay, this is natural light. This natural light enters your eyes and goes to a cluster of neurons in your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. And this is, when people say body clock, this is the master clock in your brain. And each organ has different clocks, which is programmed by this clock. So your liver, your red blood cells, all of them are working on a clock timing. But the main master switch is over here, which is regulated by the light that you see. Okay. Now we live in a age where we're constantly on our phones. We're looking at bright lights during the day. There's computer lights, all of these things, and these signals, they give your brain a false perspective that you are in a certain time zone or a certain time in the day.
Interesting.
Okay, and what happens is because it's so new, technology is so new, your brain misinterprets this information and it tells your liver or your heart or your kidney that it's a different time of the day.
Right.
And because of that, when you wake up in the morning, naturally, your cortisol level starts to rise. That cortisol increases blood pressure. It allows you to wake up. The energy drive that you have to wake up and you feel like alive, that is because slight elevations of cortisol. But that cortisol is supposed to go down, and it has like a cyclical thing. So it goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down. When you look at screens all day, that cortisol is always elevated. So that then creates a scenario where you have these different hormones that need to be switched on or switched off. They get messed around. So basically your entire body goes in a mess. What we are able to do because we cannot change the light in our environment, that's like the infrastructure issue. But with these glasses, we block 70% of all blue light that's entering your eye.
Yes.
Because if you block more than 70 or 75%, you're starting to get sleepier, which we don't want. So with these glasses, they block 70 to 75%. And think of this blue light as phototoxic. That means it's toxic for your eyes and for your brain. And if you can block 75% of it every second throughout the day, it's a win-win for everyone.
Understood.
Right?
Absolutely.
So this is for the productivity series. The red ones, they And in the night, you don't have any blue light, right? So the moment you have blue light in the night, that means your body thinks that it's daytime, and then it doesn't switch off any of the body clocks. So we designed another one which blocks 3 spectrums of light: red, green, and violet. All of these lights come from the sun. But when you completely block it, you see red in front of you, and that reminds you of our evolutionary fire around. So when lights would go off, fire would come on, and that's how we gathered around telling stories. And even if anyone who's listening, and you guys do a lot of flying, so you guys have more opportunities of this, go camping or hiking anywhere where there's no light. Put on, go without your phones for a few days. Have fire around you, and you'll see, without any, even if you have sleep issues, you'll start getting sleepy.
See, I really experienced that with the red ones. So, and like you said, Rez, wear them in the evening and you'll actually...
It calms you down.
It does.
It calms you down. Because that's how your brain is supposed to feel.
I was so ignorant when initially... biohacking, I think I've been following since Chris Gethin, I think 2011 or something, when he was a speaker on bodybuilding.com. I think he's one of the pioneers.
Yeah, he's very good.
So since then, and I was like, man, this is a load of crap. That was me being ignorant. And then I see somebody I know from childhood, he's doing it. I was like, okay, so this is not a load of crap, because there's a lot of study. yeah, because you don't experience, you don't really know till you experience it. And and then I remember I asked you, I was like, bro, I'm thinking, and you're like, Rez, you should definitely try it, because now we guys are so overstimulated, always in front of screens, cortisol levels, etc. And then you said that you've been in fitness, you should start this, because you've been there for a while, and if you're not doing it, you're losing out. And that's when I went on and I tried it. So the yellow ones, definitely during the day at work, because I'm in front of the screen, I use it regularly. Everybody looks at me like I'm weird, but it's fine. And in the evening, I'll wear the red ones, and it works like wonders. Honestly, it helps sleep better.
It also helps you burn more fat. So a lot of people nowadays are struggling with weight issues, is because if you see, when do flowers grow the most? They grow the most when they have more amounts of light.
Okay.
So light is not just something that can stimulate you, but it also allows for growth factors to happen.
Okay.
And if you are surrounded by light all the time, not like you're going to be putting on muscle all the time, your adipose cells or your fat cells, they start growing. And that's not just the light that's going into your eyes, like multiple factors, but if you can manage the light that is entering into your system in a way, you can sleep better, you lose more weight, you can actually build more muscle, because then your hormones
recovery is a main part. But that was nice. The glasses are very, very nice. And also you need to talk about, cool, we'll start over here. So you also, after the glasses, that you just explained the glasses so well, how they help us with the absorption of light in general. Something else I asked you, nose tape. I think it's great. I wear it because I developed sleep apnea, right? For people who don't know sleep apnea, snoring sleep apnea. Many people say that, if your neck is like this or like that while you're sleeping, but I think it's much more...
It's beyond that. Yeah.
It's beyond that. Explain how that little contraption stuck on your nose. Number one, it makes you breathe better. Helps you breathe through your nose, which helps in oxygen intake. Because when we're breathing through our mouth, it's not the same concept. Can you please?
Yeah, so the concept is that as civilizations grew over the years, early humankind was always breathing through our nose. Okay. Right. And when you breathe through your nose, like you mentioned, you have more oxygen saturation because you're breathing. Exactly. So the way our face is structured, we're designed to breathe through the nose. But the modern man is actually breathing through the mouth, because when we were growing up in school, no one taught us how to breathe from the nose. We assume that certain things people are just supposed to learn it. Right. And then people pick up bad habits. So especially in the night, what happens is and it's no magic, it's just mechanical pulling of the nostrils, which allows for 16% more oxygen to be going into your body. But because your nose is so close to your brain, it also means that you have 16% more oxygen in your brain. The catalyst for energy conversion in the body or in the cells is when oxygen, hydrogen, and some other compounds, they get into your cell, and then your cell makes more ATP, which is more energy. So imagine your brain getting 16% more oxygen, which means eventually it will make 16% more energy.
I remember ATP, adenosine
Adenosine triphosphate.
My goodness.
So
You studied commerce back
Yeah.
in school.
I
What
didn't
were you
learn
doing
this in school.
biology? I studied that in school.
Yeah, I didn't learn this in school. So that's the idea. And when you're sleeping at night, most of us, because we don't know how to breathe in the day, we're also breathing with our mouth in the night. And most people, because of staying indoors, having a lot of AC around, their nasal passages constrict towards the evening when they're sleeping. So they're not used to, and B, the nasal passages also shrink. So if you can expand your nasal passages, you get more oxygen into the brain. Your nose also has these tiny hair follicles called the silica or the cilia. And what they do is they deodorize, they humidify, and they change the air that you're breathing. It's like a natural air purification system.
What would you say to the people who wax their nose hair off?
Oh, it's the worst thing. It's the worst thing. Because those things are protective compounds, and they also give birth to another molecule, which I'm sure you are very interested in, being in the bodybuilding world. It's called nitric oxide.
Okay, yes.
So one of the ways to increase nitric oxide synthase in the body is through breathing through the nose, because when your silica or the cilia and the air that goes in from your nose, it actually activates nitric oxide pathways in the body. And most of us these days, if we're sitting too long, if you're not moving enough, we have a huge disruption in the nitric oxide pathways in the body.
Interesting. Something very interesting I wanted to understand. We've known each other since grade year 7, year 8. We weren't very close as kids. However, there was a lot of mutual respect. To the point, I even remember when I was in Fitness First as a trainer, and you were going on to be cabin crew. You even told me that, Rez, you know what, I'm going to Qatar, and you should explore this aspect. Yeah, I still remember.
I wanted to take as many friends as I can.
So there was always this mutual respect. We weren't always consistently in touch. However, you were one of those people. Whenever you would be coming down from Qatar, you'd be like, Rez, we should do a meetup. We would barely meet, but we would always be in touch. We knew that what each other was doing, and somewhere subconsciously rooted for each other. Also because started off very differently, but ended up in the same place. Fitness, discipline. I had nothing to do with aviation. I ended up in aviation. You were doing everything in aviation, and now you're into fitness. So there's been so many crossroads. But it's always been parallel to a certain degree. What was that thing that you respected or realized that kept you rooting for that? I still remember that we used to have very interesting conversations regarding fitness, that, supplementation, fitness, training systems. What have you been doing? What have I been doing? Okay, this has been working for me. This has been working for you. So what was that you saw or realized that you're like, you know what, this is one person I would like to keep in touch with?
So one thing is, like, we had similar interests, right? I think in school we didn't have similar interests, but after we graduated from school, we went into different paths. And then one thing that unites people, like most of the world, they get united because of sports or because of something that they're doing. So a doctor respects another doctor, a cricketer might respect another cricketer.
Yeah.
We were both in the fitness side, and I think we were also we thank you, Mark Zuckerberg, for making Facebook. And I think we would once in a while see each other's posts, comment on it. So that's how the conversations kept on going. But it was more like I said a couple of minutes ago, that I've always wanted to have people around me that I could talk to with certain things that I'm trying, I'm discovering, or for example, you guys, we're meeting now after 2 months.
Yeah.
And the first thing when I saw him, as soon as I came in, I was like, "You've lost so much weight." He's like, "I lost a lot of fat." I was like, "What are you doing? What's your weight?"
Yes.
regardless of me asking him like, okay, how's family, how's life? Of course, I did ask that before, but then there is this thing that you see someone do or achieve or get to, and it falls under your category
Interest.
of interest,
Yes.
and then you want to explore that. And I think both of us, like, because mashallah, you've, like, respect to you, you've had like one of the best physiques that I've ever seen.
You're very kind.
So like I was always like, oh, okay, what is he doing? What kind of, like, and your training style is completely different to what I would imagine.
Yes.
Like we've had
We
some
even
conversations
spoke about that,
around,
yes.
yeah. So Reza's training style is completely different, and for me it is even more interesting because now I get to see a different side or a different aspect or a different way. And for me, I'm more about like collecting data. So the more I can collect all these data points and then use those to kind of come up with a solution and then share it with someone or just use it for myself, this is what I love.
Coming to recovery systems, going back to the wellness aspect, where you've really incorporated biohacking in your daily lifestyle. Some things you'd like to tell the viewers. This is one of the myths that people think biohacking is something new. What I try to tell them is that no, try to follow CJ, have a look. Whatever he's talking about is technically old school. Grounding, for example, consumption of light, basics, meditation, being at peace with yourself. So many things affect health and wellness in the long term, which many people don't understand. People think there's a certain recipe which is only related to supplementation. Yes, supplements are a part of the picture. However, the bigger part is the fitness aspect, the physical movement aspect. Does not necessarily need to be gym. It could be any physical fitness. You want to elaborate on that, for example, the first hour of your day. How do you start it off? And then how do you sort of go along in the day? What time do you eat? Stuff like that. Because a lot of these things matter. Because what goes in comes out. If you're not giving the right nutrients to the body, the output is not the same.
Correct.
All right. The same thing goes for knowledge. If you're not learning the right things, you're not being able to output the right things. So you want to tell more about, so you start off the day, CJ wakes up 4, 5 a.m.
Yeah.
How does the 1 hour, that
So, like,
kickstart?
Yeah,
goes?
so I wake up at like 4:30 to 4:45. The first thing that I wake up, I will just head onto the kitchen, make myself. This is one thing that I'm not very proud of, but I'll admit it. I'll make myself coffee to just accelerate that cortisol response. So I'll have my coffee. I'll drive to the gym.
But wait, is it that coffee, the biohacking one?
Right now, it's not the biohacking one, but it's also organic and
Okay,
mushroom
fair
and all
enough,
of
fair
that
enough.
stuff.
That
We
was
will
really
be
nice.
releasing the mushroom coffee part 2 soon.
No, I really liked it.
Yeah, so coffee to just sort of like get the blood vessels pumping, the heart pumping a little bit, because right now at 4:30 it's very hard to find motivation to get up and leave your home. So I'll do that. I'll go to the gym. I'll work out around an hour. So from 5:45 to 6:45 or 7 is my workout. Then I would do a session of jiu-jitsu, which finishes at 8.
Oh, yes, you've been...
Yeah, so
my
jiu-jitsu,
goodness.
and then
You had an injury.
I had an injury.
We'll
I
come to
almost
that.
tore my knees.
Yeah,
But
we'll
yeah,
come
so I'll
to
do
that.
that. Shower. There's a mosque outside our gym, and it has a stool. So I'll go there, I'll sit, and I'll meditate. I'll do a little bit of breath work.
Wow.
I'll take the first light of the sun. This is around 8 a.m. 8:30, I'm done. I'm in the office. I'll have a protein shake. So I'll start my day with a protein shake, and then somewhere around 11 or 12, I'll have some lunch. During the day, one thing which is very important is that I'm not sitting a lot. I have a standing desk.
Nice.
And so I'll be standing. I also have a treadmill under my desk, so at least for an hour or hour and a half.
I've seen you hold a couple of episodes while you're on
while
the
I'm
treadmill.
on the treadmill. Yeah, so it's really good because there's a lot of science now that says while you're walking and like focusing on a task, you have more of this BDNF, which is brain-derived neurotropic factor, and nerve growth factors. So if you're trying to focus, and you're not like walking very fast, you're walking very slow, but the idea of constant movement spread throughout the day, which our ancestors did. Our ancestors didn't sleep for a very long time. Again, things in moderation. They didn't lie down for a very long time.
Yeah, go on.
And they would just be out and just be moving throughout the day. And this is really, really important because in the modern life, We go to the gym for an hour and two and we thought we've done our movement. It doesn't really happen that way.
It doesn't work that way.
So most of the long-lived communities around the world, if you see like all the blue zones, like they're the most active, not because they're going to the gym or they have a gym membership. None of them have a gym membership, but they're constantly moving
They're on the
their
move
bodies.
always. Something very interesting you said, ancestors didn't sleep too much. What is the myth behind 9 hours or 8 hours of sleep? I totally respect people
Yeah.
who cannot function
Uh-huh.
without that 8 to 9 hour
Yeah.
mark. I, however, since a very young age, I know it doesn't apply to everybody. I wake up quite early, 5:30 a.m. And it's sort of instilled in the system. I've been doing that since I was quite young. I cannot sleep more than 6 hours. If I sleep more than 6 hours, I start feeling groggy. Because, can you tell us more? Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, you know this much better. Sleep cycles. Is it because that, I have had enough deep sleep during those 6 hours that I wake up switched on. I'm great. I'm raring to go. And then the whole day I'm on the
What
move.
does your Whoop say?
I just got it.
Okay,
Says nothing. It says
so it's going
use
to
it for
calibrate
30
for
days.
It's going to be calibrating for some time. So one of the largest studies done on sleep was about 1 million people, I think. And in that data, what they found out was that the Goldilocks zone in sleep was 6.5 hours.
There's the Goldilocks zone.
Yeah,
in
there was
sleep.
around that 1 million people. But I think, in my opinion, everyone's different. And when we were evolving not in like cities, but we were evolving in small villages and tribes.
True.
And usually in a tribe, there would be around 20 to 100 people, not more. And in the night, everyone had different duties. So there were people who were supposed to be the guardians, who were like the soldiers who were awake all night and they were watching for any threats or dangers or predators or attacks.
They weren't just awake, they were switched on.
They were switched on. So that's a very minor part, but we have still evolved from those genes, right?
Right.
So there are some people, you will see that they have certain genetic mutations that allows them to sleep for only 4 or 4.5 hours and be switched on throughout the day. But that's only like 0.00 something
So
percent of
safe
the
to
people.
say that I come from a line of guardians.
It could be, and
Potentially.
it also is like sleep efficiency. So when you go to sleep, there are multiple things, and I don't want the audience to be confused. There's something called as sleep latency, which means how fast you can go to sleep. There's also these different cycles, which are deep sleep, REM cycles.
Yes.
If you're able to go through all these cycles efficiently,
Yeah.
then maybe you don't need so much sleep. But then it's a bit more complex because some people, they wake up in the middle of the night and they can't sleep. So I
Yes.
think everyone is so different. On an average, what we see is if you will be sleeping for 9 hours and above, because it's above the Goldilocks zone, there might be something that either your body is suffering from, like overtraining or a virus or something. There's some element in your biology which is not good enough because you need so much sleep. If you look at traditional like yogic sciences and systems, they talk about like 4 hours or 3 hours of sleep. Like all these great yogis, they're just not sleeping so much. Yeah.
Exactly, they're barely sleeping. What is that one factor which you feel that, because obviously I can see that you're very self-aware, right? And you've developed that over the years. Many people don't, they eventually reach there over time. What do you feel that you're overdoing it and then you're like, okay, no, CJ, you need to sort of relax. It could be consumption of information. It could be overworking yourself. Because now, see, as an entrepreneur, you're running this lovely setup along with your fitness, along with taking care of the family, along with so many responsibilities, taking care of employees. So you are technically at the top, right? And then you need to look at everything down and you need to give time, and it takes a mental toll. All right, regardless how much people say, it takes its toll. Everything comes at a cost. When do you feel that, regardless all the meditation, the fitness, the healthy eating, you need that me time at some point of time to go back, recover, reflect, and then be like, okay, fine.
I think it happens. I need it every starting 5:30 or 6 p.m. So my rule, which I've broken many times because it's my rule, was
fair enough.
was for a long period of time, I would subscribe to this idea of a digital sunset, which means that every time there's sunset that happens, ideally, even now I have my meals before, but after the sunset, I don't check my phones. I don't reply to emails. I don't look at anything, any kind of digital information that is coming in. I might see some stand-up comedy on TV because that again distracts my mind and it's more humor. And we know that
Fair.
humor brings in more longevity and health benefits.
Fair.
Or I would listen to something philosophical, something spiritual, because that enriches the soul. But apart from that, like no matter how exciting exciting the podcast is or the book is or something, like I really limit digital information. I think that has been a game changer. Of course, I break these rules because of all the entrepreneurship and like all these projects running around and stuff. But I think after 5:30 or 6 p.m. and I sleep very early. I sleep at 8.
Yeah.
So if I can get those 2 hours where I go with my dog, I spend some time with him, I call all of my friends when I'm on a walk. Jaeger.
Jaeger.
Call all of my friends when I'm there. Usually that's also the time that I'll be doing a lot of my biohacking. So I will also like go into the sauna, then I'll go into the cold plunge, then I'll do the red light therapy, then I'll do the PMF. And so that's my recharge moment. And I think like that allows me to bounce back the next day, wake up at 4:45.
We need to talk about the cold plunges and the red light therapy, sauna. There's so much. There's people in my circle I've seen who are now, sort of catching up, and they go like, "Oh, Rez, do you know about it?" I was like, "Yes, for a while now." But it's good. It's good to see you guys finally, understanding the importance of biohacking, which has actually been around for a very long time. And people should be grateful that now we have the access to such information on their fingertips.
And also tools, because for the longest period of time we've had access to some sort of information, but having information is useless if you don't have the tool in front of you to actually use it. Absolutely. So now we're also very blessed, especially like with all the work that we are doing over here, is that we're actually bringing in the tools so you can think about an idea and you don't have to imagine it. You can actually step into it and feel it and do it every day.
What is that one myth about biohacking that you feel that it should be deleted over the internet?
There are probably two. Like one thing that a lot of people have told me is like biohackers have some kind of a chip in their arm. Like I don't. This came from Finland because one biohacker decided to. He's going in the bus every day, so he decided to implant a chip. So then every time he just puts his finger and then the bus door opens and then he can charge it. It's like a SIM card. So that was the early days. But I think one of the biohacking myths is that it's only for rich people. I think it's for everyone. I think biohacking is just it's a language. So it's a language that allows people to understand some fundamental aspects of biology. Of course, then you can bring the technology and the tools, but all it's trying to do is trying to communicate with you a certain message. The message is eternal. The message is eternal. Like you said, the waking up early, moving your body, making sure you have enough rest, making sure you get stimulated at the right time, making sure you have the right relationships, making sure that you have a certain perspective of you, the world, the people around you, making sure you're enough of a service, making sure you have enough micronutrients around you. If you cannot take it from food, then take it from a supplement. So, or some other ways. Even back in the days, you would go to these doctors and they would take these herbs and they would just be like, "Oh, perfect, your condition, here, this is what you need to have." That was the first beginning of supplements. Yes. Now we're just, doctors are not available everywhere, so we have companies.
Fair enough. What is that one thing that you could whisper to CJ? Mm-hmm. The OG CJ back in school. Mm-hmm. Like, could be that one thing. Because see, I spoke on one of the podcasts, one of the guests, they mentioned that obviously when we're growing up, there's a lot of fear, a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of things. And she said something that the advice I would give my younger self is, be brave. It encompasses a lot of things, but then be brave. Don't be shy to try.
There's so many things we can tell ourselves, so many. I don't know about others, but I would give myself so many pieces of advice, so many. But
then see, that goes to show when the moment you say that, it shows that, we did much wrong before getting it right, which is important.
Yeah.
Which I believe that's very important. Like I did a lot of things wrong. You've probably known a lot of them. So a lot of my friends will say yes to it as well. They'll be like, yes, like if Reza 10 years ago, it was a loose cannon. It was very, how can I say? Well, what would be the word? Very brash, very, very wild, raw, very raw. But now he's all of a sudden got all his horses in one line. Earlier on, he wasn't like that. I think that helped me shape who I am today. Being that wild, raw personality, doing fitness, it helped a lot. You said you were kind enough to say that I had a great physique. I think that craziness helped in building towards that physique. Because that chaos was still channeled, or rather, I was still trying to channel it into one aspect.
Yeah.
And it worked out quite well. Today, obviously, I'm very mindful what I say, how I say, when I say, to who I say to. Various things. When did that sort of start kicking in with you?
I think, to answer your first question, now I think about it, it was, if I can tell myself one thing, it would be to take responsibility. So
I think as youngsters, it's responsibility is a feeling rather. That you feel it and it kicks in slowly.
yeah, but I think for a very long period of time in my life, I took things for granted. So I took a lot of things for granted, and I thought that I was like, I deserve something, right? But I didn't understand the idea of like every action that you do, everything that you say, everything, call it the law of karma, call it anything you want, but basically anything that you do, say, or even think is basically you're putting it out there in the world, and some or the other way it's going to manifest into something. So make sure you take responsibility for anything that's going to come through you or within you, because that will actually shape your reality. So I would say, oh, my parents are going to do this, oh, my friend is going to do this, oh, my girlfriend will make the plans, oh, like I would not be the one to like take the responsibility and to act. And I think because I thought the government will do it, like whatever, like someone will do it. But then you come to realize that if you actually want to make a change in the world, there's no other factor in your life that you can control apart from yourself. And the moment you understand it, you take responsibility not just for yourself, but for everyone around you.
Wow.
And that's empowerment. Because you know that the only way for anything to change is for you to change it. And I think
Absolutely.
that would be.
No, that's
And I forgot your second question.
No, that's fine. Because see, there's so many things. There's obviously because we've known each other for so long and then observed each other from a distance, and then once you obviously started biohacking in Dubai and started observing each other at a slightly closer level,
look, yeah.
and then sharing those conversations regarding fitness and biohacking and so much nutrition. I still have that plan which you made for me as well. And I realized that, wow, like I've been training so differently, but even this is a totally separate approach and it still works. So there's so many interesting things that I would love to sit down again and talk about. But now I'm going to ask you a few lovely, simple questions. What is your personal preferences? So, cold plunges or red light sauna?
Red light sauna.
Red light sauna.
Any day.
Coffee or sunlight first? But you said coffee first.
Ideally sunlight first,
Okay.
but by the time sunlight comes to me, it's way too late, so I just start early with the coffee.
Cabin crew uniform or the lab coat?
Lab coat.
Lab coat?
For sure.
Interesting. Ice bath or gratitude journal?
Ice
Do you
baths.
have a journal?
Yeah,
Do you
I used
journal?
to. There used to be a point where I used to write about 3 things that I'm grateful for and 1 thing that did not work out today.
Interesting. Something close to manifestation or something? Is
No,
it
just like
just journaling?
yeah, just journaling, just writing 3 things that I'm grateful for and 1 thing that I tried my best to do, didn't work out, but I can try again. But I would say I choose ice baths because this doesn't have to be formally written down. So you could think about this on a walk, and you can still get the ice bath. So,
Well, at that note, CJ, it was a great conversation. Thank you so much.
it's been my
For being
pleasure.
here
I've
today.
loved this conversation.
I'm looking forward to many more.
Same here. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. From school hallways to 35,000 feet to building a company rooted in wellness. CJ's story proves that discipline isn't about rigidity, it's about awareness. We started in the same place, same school, walked different roads, and somehow arrived at the same place, where science meets the soul and respect lasts longer than proximity. Thank you so much for watching.